What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you stopping by. Today we're going to take a break from the budget deck challenge and try out something that's not so cheap. Centur-ion is a synchro-based strategy that was released 2 months ago in Konami's new set, Valiant Smashers. Since release, it's garnered the reputation of being not very budget, extremely susceptible to hand traps, and only good for a Calamity lock. What I see when I look at this deck is 13 one-card starters and more flex spots than you could possibly know what to do with. I just got the last of the cards in the mail today. Let's throw this bad boy together, take it to locals, and see what this deck actually has. Alright guys, we're at Stormcrow Games, Tuesday night locals with the crew. We have the Centur-ion deck, we got the Cosmic Blazar Dragon, ready to Calamity lock for some people. Let's have some fun. Alright everybody, we made it to the last round of the night undefeated. We're going up against my buddy Alex, who is playing Adventure Horus Phantom Knights. As you can see from his playmat, Alex did top nationals last July down in Raleigh. Contrary to what some people may say about him, he's actually a really good player. So we go ahead and roll the die. I win the die roll, and we cut decks. Take a look at the opening hand. We've got Emblem, Terraforming, Imperm, and it looks like Stand Up. So we activate Terraforming, see if we can do an Ash check. He does not Ash it. Needs to take a look at Stand Up, hasn't played against this deck before. I go ahead and activate Stand Up, sending the other Stand Up that I have in my hand as cost. Place Primera in the Spell and Trap Zone. Primera effect to come out and search a Centur-ion card. I add Phalanx because I have an extender in hand already. So we want to make sure that we have some follow-up for his turn. Activate Emblem Oath, put Trudea in the Spell and Trap Zone, Trudea effect, come out. Then we go ahead and activate Trudea's second effect, bring out Emmet into the Spell and Trap Zone. This is where we're going to go ahead and go Emmet effect and then Stand Up. Stand Up's going to get us to Legatia. Legatia effect to draw a card, we draw into the Nib. Take a look at the hand, set 3, end phase, Legatia, put Primera back in the Spell and Trap Zone, and we pass turn. Alex is going to take a look at the cards again because he's not familiar with the matchup. He goes ahead and starts his turn by firing off a Rite of Aramesir. Here I'm thinking about chaining. I chain Primera and Trudea. He chains Wandering Griffin Rider. They come out. I go Chain Link 1 Stand Up, Chain Link 2 Primera. He attempts to negate with Wandering Griffin Rider. This is where I'm not sure if I should use Phalanx or Imperm. I think about it for a second. Take a look at my set cards and decide to activate Imperm on the Griffin Rider. My effects resolve, we add bonds for follow-up, and then we go into Crimson Dragon. We go Crimson Dragon effect, target Legatia, making sure that the effect is indeed on summon. Crimson Dragon tags out, goes into Calamity, Calamity effect, now he is locked in. He goes Imseti, pitch, add King Sark. Unfortunately, he cannot activate King Sark thanks to Calamity. Taking a look again just to make sure that he understands that correctly. Not sure exactly what to do from here, so he goes ahead and passes turn. End phase, I put Primera back in the Spell and Trap Zone. We take a look at our set cards. Here we decide to get rid of the Wandering Griffin Rider so we don't have to deal with it for the rest of our turn. He negates it, that's fine. Now we go Primera effect, Primera comes out, and we're going to go ahead and add Trudea. We still have it normal summoned, obviously. We activate bonds to place Emmet in our Spell and Trap Zone. Emmet effect, come out, Stand Up. We're going to go into Legatia. Legatia's going to pop the token. We've got game on board here. Alright, we're getting into game 2 here. Alex is going to go first. Takes a look at his opening hand and then actually has to go answer a judge call real quick for another table to help out. Comes back, takes a look at his hand one more time. Then he goes ahead and normal summons the Torn Scales, special summons the Boots, goes into Cherubini. Cherubini's going to pitch Enchantress. Enchantress effect, he's going to add Rite of Aramesir. This is where the Drolls come in big. We Droll him and he's not very happy right now. Looking through his hand, trying to figure out how to play through Droll, goes Rite of Aramesir, set Fateful, get his token, He doesn't have any extenders, can't play through Droll, so he just goes token into Link Spider. Link Spider and Cherubini are both going to go into SP Little Knight, so that way he at least has some interaction, sets one, and passes. In the end of main, I go Nib, leave him with a very small token, and he's pissed. Starting our turn, we go Terraforming for the Ash check, and this is where we actually normal summon in Primera to see what the back row is, to see if it's a Fog Blade or an Imperm, and it is actually the Fog Blade. So Primera's effect gets negated, but we already have Stand Up. We actually had two. We go Stand Up, pitch Stand Up, put Trudea in the Spell and Trap Zone. Trudea's second effect, she's going to go back in the Spell and Trap Zone and bring out Emmet. We're going to go Emmet effect, and then we're going to activate Stand Up. That's going to get us into our Legacia. We're going to go Legacia effect, draw one, pop the token, leaving him defenseless. We attack for 65. We set one and go end phase. We put Primera back in Spawn Trap Zone. He goes Fog Blade, get boots, and then Torn Scales effect to come out again. Pass turn to him. Alex takes a look at his hand, trying to figure out how to play because he knows I can Calamity Lock him here the second he activates something. So he's taking a look at his extra deck, decides that the best way to play through the Calamity Lock is to go into Breaksword. On the summon of Breaksword, I'm going to activate Primera and Trudea. They're both going to come out. We're going to go Primera Chainlink 1, Stand Up Chainlink 2. Primera, we're going to add Bonds, and then we're going to go into Crimson Dragon. Crimson Dragon effect, target Legacia. Out comes Calamity. Calamity effect resolves. So now here is where Alex gets interesting. He attacks into the Nib, so that way he can get the other two Phantom Knights back out on board. But now he has 500 life points left, and he's not sure how to play with being under the Calamity Lock. So he takes a look at his extra deck, trying to figure out the best way to go about it. He wants to go for Typhon, but then decides to go for Typhon with more material, which is fine. He goes to pass his turn. We take a look at our hand. We miss our Legacia effect, actually, which isn't good. Start our turn by Imperming the Typhon. I play into the Imperm column, but we both realized that it was dumb anyway because game was on board, so I go ahead and attack over the Typhon, attack for game, and we win the match 2-0. All right, just finished up locals. We went 3-0 with a Centur-ion deck. Feels really good, got first place. Small locals, had a lot of fun though, still learning the deck. Lessons learned, we won the die roll. We did not get hand trapped. We Calamity Locked a lot of people. A little sacky, but the deck's a lot of fun. I'm very excited for it moving forward. Okay, so this is the list that I took to locals this week. It was the very first time I got to play the deck in paper, so the list is very standard, pretty generic. The nice thing about the Centur-ion deck is there's tons of room for non-engine, so as you get a better feel for the format meta, you can adjust your non-engine to fit whatever matchups you think you're going to see the most. To start the Centur-ion engine, we have 3 copies of Centur-ion Primera. This is going to be the main starter of your deck. On normal or special summon, this lets you add any Centur-ion card from your deck to your hand. Now all of the main deck Centur-ion monsters share the effect that if they are face up in the Spell and Trap Zone as a continuous trap, during your opponent's main phase, you can quick effect special summon them to the field as a monster. The next card that we have in the engine for Centur-ion is 3 copies of Centur-ion Trudea. She also acts as a starter for the deck. When she's on the field as a monster, she can activate her effect to set herself in the Spell and Trap Zone as a continuous trap, and then set another Centur-ion monster from deck in the Spell and Trap Zone as a continuous trap. And then the last Centur-ion monster in the Centur-ion lineup is 2 copies of Centur-ion Emmet. This is not a starter, but it does have the effect that on your opponent's turn during any phase, you can quick effect target one of your Centur-ion monsters on the field, move it to the Spell and Trap Zone, and then special summon this card. It's a nice way to dodge interruptions when they come up on your opponent's turn, as well as get another body on field. Now, the star of the Centur-ion lineup is the field spell, 3 copies of Centur-ion Stand Up. This is a card that can get your plays going. It's also how you synchro summon on your opponent's turn. The turn you activate this card, you can discard a card from your hand and then set a Centur-ion monster from your deck face up in the Spell and Trap Zone as a continuous trap. And then whenever you special summon a monster once per turn, you can synchro summon using any monsters you have on the field as long as it includes a Centur-ion monster. The next card that we have in the Centur-ion lineup is not a named Centur-ion card, it is Emblem Oath. This is a quick play spell that allows you to either set a Centur-ion monster from your deck face up in the Spell and Trap Zone, or you can set a Centur-ion speller card face down in the Spell and Trap Zone. This acts as a starter, but it does lock you into Centurions only from your extra deck for that turn. The 1-ups that we play in the Centur-ion engine, 1 Phalanx, 1 Bonds. Bonds is kind of your follow-up You can use this to set a Centur-ion monster from your graveyard into the face-up spell and trap zone. It also has the effect that whenever you synchro summon a Centur-ion monster while this is in the graveyard, you can banish it from the graveyard, special summon one of your Centur-ion monsters. Phalanx is a little bit of an interruption. It's not great, but it targets one monster on the field, vanishes it for the turn. The next standby phase, that monster comes back. It also has the graveyard effect, which is really nice, where you can banish this card from your graveyard and special summon a Centur-ion synchro monster from your graveyard. So that can come up a pretty good amount. Now we'll get into the hand trap lineup. We played 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 copies of Effect Veiler, 3 copies of Nibiru, the Primal Being, 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. As you can see, a ton of hand traps. We're also playing a small Bestial package. We played 2 Druiswarm, 1 Magnamut. The Bestials are nice because they can act as a hand trap on your opponent's turn. The other nice thing is they're all level 6. So you can use these in Primera to quick synchro into a Baron if you need to. That does come up where your original plays get stopped. You need to banish something from your own graveyard so that way you can at least get to a Baron when you pass your turn. After that, we have the spells. We played 3 copies of Super Poly, 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent, 1 copy of Terraforming to get to your field spell, and 3 copies of Book of Moon. Now, Book of Moon is nice because not only can you set it and interact on your opponent's turn, or maybe flip one of their monsters face down going second, but when your Trudea is on the field and you're attempting Trudea effect and they try to imperm or effect veiler it, you can book your own Trudea. The Trudea will resolve, placing itself as well as another Centur-ion monster into the spell and trap zone. The other way that it can come up is if you have it set going into your opponent's turn and you activate Crimson Dragon effect, they attempt to negate it with like a droplet or an imperm. You can flip the Crimson Dragon face down using Book of Moon. It will still go back to the extra deck and you can still summon your Calamity. That's it for the main deck. Let's go ahead and jump into the extra deck. For the extra deck, we played 2 copies of Centur-ion Legatia. This is currently the only extra deck Centur-ion monster at the moment. It has the effect that when it is special summoned, you can draw a card as well as pop the highest attack monster on your opponent's side of the field. This comes up with the trap card because if you special summon this from the graveyard, its effect still goes off, so you still draw 1 card, you still pop a card. It also has the effect that in the end phase of each turn, you can set one of your Centur-ion monsters from the graveyard in the face-up spell and trap zone. So this is a big part of your combo. For the other synchro monsters, we played Crimson Dragon. Obviously, this is how we Calamity Lock. It can also come up with some other synchros we play in the extra deck. We played 1 copy of Hot Red Archfiend King Calamity, the card everybody hates, the card that makes the deck go, especially if you win the die roll. This card basically is a turn skip unless your opponent has a ton of effects that they can activate in hand or in the graveyard. The other level 12 that we play for Crimson Dragon is Cosmic Blazar Dragon. This is really good in the Labyrinth matchup where Calamity doesn't shine as much. It also comes up once you've used your Calamity. If you are not able to recycle it back into the extra deck, this is a negate, this is a negate a summon, and this is also negate an attack by banishing itself from the field. So this is a very good card, and it did come up a couple of times this week. Other synchro monster, we play Baron de Fleur. Obviously, we talked about this with the Bestials. Sometimes your plays get stopped, and you're forced to quick synchro into a Baron, so that way you at least have a negate on the field. And then the last synchro card we played is Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. Time is a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! We all know this. This card can also clear boards if you need it to. You play through your opponent's interruptions and you have 2 level 4s on field, then sometimes this is what you have to go into to try and clear the field. For our Link monsters, we played 1 SP Little Knight, obviously an extremely great generic Link monster at the moment. Played 1 Artemis the Magistus Moon Maiden. This can be made with Primera to either go into SP Little Knight or to climb into Access Code Talker if we need to with Selene. We also obviously Access Code Talker. This didn't come up nearly as much, but it's worth playing in the deck, I think. The nice thing about Centur-ion is there's tons of flexibility in the extra deck and the main deck. So if you don't feel like this is the line and you have other lines you'd rather play, you can go that route. For Xyz, we played 1 Typhon. Your plays get stopped, you have a monster on field, you go into Typhon, at least try and stall it out till your next turn. We played 1 Zeus. This is mostly for Triple Tactics Talent. If you steal your opponent's Xyz monster and then you can overlay with Zeus, that's obviously great. And then the last 2 cards we played were Garura and Mud Dragon for Super Poly, obviously. That's it for the extra deck. Let's go ahead and move into the side deck. Lastly, we have the side deck. We kept it pretty generic because we weren't sure what matchups we were going to run into at locals. We have 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird, 3 copies of Evenly Matched. I think Evenly Matched is pretty good this format. Rescue Ace isn't putting up a ton of negates at the moment, and a lot of decks play into it. We have 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 copies of Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. This could maybe be DD Crow or Bell. I'm not 100% sure yet. I just wanted to try it out, and honestly, it never came up. 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. This is great in the mirror. This is great against Fire Kings. I think Cosmic Cyclone is actually going to be a side deck card staple for this format. And lastly, we played 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Put this in going first. Game 3 in round 1, my opponent did attempt to droplets my Calamity Lock by hitting the Crimson Dragon with Droplet, but I had the Judgment set. We flipped Judgment and we ended up winning that game because the Calamity Lock went off. Alright guys, that's it for the deck. I thought it performed very well this week. I'm very excited to take it to some bigger events in the future. In the comments down below, why don't you let me know what you think of the deck, what the future of the deck might look like to you. Do you think it's going to get some more support? And as always, I'll catch you guys next time.